What is up, guys? Matt here, and today we are studying the book of Jonah. If you've missed the first two videos, please check those out, because today we're actually going to finish up chapter 1. Let's go ahead and start in verses 11 and 12 of chapter 1. Alright, so verse 11 reads, "Then they said to him, What is it that we shall do to you, that the sea may quiet down for us? For the sea grew more and more tempestuous." Verse 12 says, "He said to them, Pick me up and hurl me into the sea, then the sea will quiet down for you. For I know it is because of me that this great tempest has come upon you." Jonah was so disconnected with God that he was telling them to toss him overboard. He would rather die than go where God told him or even pray to God. Notice he hasn't even prayed once to God yet. All right, let's look at verses 13 and 14. Verse 13 says, "Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to get back to dry land, but they could not, for the sea grew more and more tempestuous against them." That word hard in Hebrew means that they dug in their oars. They were trying as hard as they could to get back to the shore. Verse 14 says, "Therefore they called out to the Lord." Don't miss that. It says, "Therefore they called out to the Lord. O Lord, let us not perish for this man's life, and lay not on us his innocent blood. For you, O Lord, have done as it pleases you." I kind of see verse 14 as relating to when you're hanging out with your friends and somebody acts out or does something wrong. You're all going to go down for it if you don't tell who did it. In verse 13, the men were trying to help Jonah out, kind of that nobody talks, everybody walks mentality. But when the storm got worse, those guys were out. They wanted Jonah off the boat. And again, it really says something about how far from God Jonah was, that these mariners, just imagine how tough and how hard these men were, that they worshiped false gods, and they cried out to the Lord before Jonah did, asking God not to kill them for his faults and asking that his death not be on their hands. All right, let's look at verses 15 and 16. Verse 15 says, "So they picked up Jonah and hurled him into the sea, and the sea ceased from its raging." Verse 16, "Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows." I read verse 16 and read everything that's happened up to this point, and I know I shouldn't question God's methods, but as I was preparing for this study, I was talking to my wife and how I mentioned 2 weeks ago where Jonah walked 60 miles from Joppa before getting on the boat if he was actually in his hometown. Why didn't God intervene in that time period? Or when he got there, God could have hardened the heart of the captain, not letting Jonah on that boat. But if all that hadn't happened, who's to know if those mariners or shipmaster would have ever made a vow with the true God? God was still using Jonah to spread his word, whether he wanted to be used or not. And I'm hopeful that they were converted and they went on spreading the news of what happened, and they impacted many more lives like theirs. All right, last verse of chapter 1, let's read that now. Verse 17 says, "And the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights." We're not told what kind of fish or how big it was or any details like that, but many may ask why it even happened. Well, if it hadn't happened, then most likely Jonah would have drowned out there at sea. God was still not letting Jonah go. He had a plan for him, and he was going to see that plan through. This book of the Bible, and especially this verse, draws a little bit of controversy as to, could a person really survive 3 days and 3 nights inside the belly of a great fish? Well, the only proof that I need is found in the Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus is recorded saying in verse 40 of chapter 12, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a great fish, or the great sea creature, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Jesus referenced back to Jonah as a historical reality and compares his death and resurrection to it. And that's all the proof that I need. Well, guys, I can't wait till next week when we crack open chapter 2. I want you guys to remember the word prayer and see if you can find any mention of Jonah actually praying in verses 1 through 17. You guys remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you're notified anytime I post a new video. I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day. Remember, lift those weights and grow that faith.